I'm Jim Handy. I get to introduce the next speaker from Seagate to deliver a talk, Mission Impossible. Matt Rutledge, he's a VP of Marketing at Seagate. He's responsible for the multi-billion-dollar global components business, including HDDs and SSDs for the client, enterprise, surveillance, and digital video markets. He's focused on solutions and support tailored to the specific market verticals and customers. Mr. Rutledge has over 20 years of storage experience, and he published multiple storage patents and has successfully launched multiple business lines in NAS, surveillance, and hybrid drives, as well as the world's first PCIe hard disk drive. It's a mark of distinction that Seagate recently consolidated its hard drive and solid-state drive businesses, and Matt was the guy chosen to take this business to the next level. So with that, I'd like to have you help me welcome Matt to the stage.
Thanks, Jim. Hello, everybody. Welcome back from lunch. Hopefully I can keep you guys awake. I do want to get one elephant out of the room. So a little story. I was in Chicago yesterday presenting at our worldwide sales meeting, and I get this panic text. Obviously, you guys know what happened yesterday. We had a little fire in the convention hall, and some hard drive company was implicated in that fire. So I'm here to say that the hard drive guys did not sabotage the show floor. I just want to get that out of the way, okay? Thanks for taking the time out to come listen to me today. You know, I sat down with the team, and we were deciding what should our topic be? What should we bring to y'all to kind of give you a perspective? And I'm not a bits and bytes guy, and there's lots of great companies that I'm sure presented yesterday, today, this morning, and later today that you'll get a lot of good bits and bytes out of. What we thought we'd do is talk a lot about what's on everybody's mind, and that's a bit more of the market dynamics and the economics that are in our business and are driving things. We all know that there's a data explosion, right? Data is growing exponentially, and our customers are struggling with how do they deal with this data explosion. Now, the thing that nobody really ever wants to talk about is there's only a finite amount of money to help us store it, right? And that's the challenge. So when we look at the Mission Impossible, the Mission Impossible in some ways has a lot of economic constraint. And so we think that at Seagate, our mission possible is to help our customers unlock bits and be as efficient as possible to store the world's data. Seagate has, we have another business that we do. It's not flash-based. It's, some spinning rust. And that has a big implication in terms of data being stored. We're looking forward to the future of new technology. So I'm not here to talk about hard drives, right? I want to get that elephant out of the room as well. I am here to talk about flash. And I am here to talk about Seagate's role and what we see happening in the market and why we think we're relevant. So where can we add value? So I said I'm not going to talk about bits and bytes. If you think about where the focus is in the industry, obviously there's from silicon crystal to suppliers like Lam and ASML to the NAND providers, the giants that are in the industry. They have a huge role, obviously. And Seagate doesn't have a role there. Our role starts from beyond that point. And we think with our history and our lineage and our capability that we can bring value in the solutions, whether that's an integrated box, whether that's an SSD, whether that's how we connect customers to suppliers, that we can bring a lot of value in that space. And that's our mission right now. So we've partnered up with IDC, and I hope many of you have actually taken the opportunity to pull down the Data Age 2025 study. We believe this is our contribution to the industry, right? Again, we're here to preserve data. We want people to understand data, and we want to drive that forward. So if you haven't done it, please go to the data, Google Data Age 2025 from IDC, pull it down. It's no cost. There's lots of great nuggets in that. But we use that data age study as a frame, as a data set to really drive our business and drive our technology and drive our product and our focus, right? So I'm going to walk through bits of that, and then I'm going to try to tie it back to what's it mean to you guys in the room. So over our history, we've had multiple platforms or multiple horizons that we've come through. We started out in the centralized world, mainframe computer. And what's interesting about a mainframe computer is it's limited by the number of companies that could afford it, right? So there weren't millions of them, there were thousands. Then came along the PC, and all of a sudden we had a massive revolution, right? All of a sudden every person could have a computing device, and the market grew in leaps and bounds, okay? Today we're living in this third platform, the mobile cloud platform. And in mobile cloud, now all of a sudden it's the number of people that is determining the number of devices, and you've got the cloud where everything is going into the cloud, and the device is becoming less and less relevant for data storage, right? In fact, I would argue that between smartphones, tablets, and large screen TVs, they're basically windows into that cloud or windows into the data that's stored there, right? So it is a much different world. Now looking forward, everybody's talking about the edge. I'm sure I'm not the first guy on the stage to bring it up, but the edge is going to change how we look at our devices, how we look at our data storage requirements, how we look at performance, right? Performance is going to be key. And the interesting thing is we've gone from a centralized to a decentralized world. We went back to a centralized world, and we're going back to a decentralized world. So we've got this zigzag approach, and the devices that we all make have an impact of how those platforms will evolve. So going back to the third platform, obviously from a zettabyte perspective, 10x growth over 10 years, 16 zettabytes created in 2016, growing to over 160 zettabytes in 2025. And that's data created, right? We've got a lot of transient data moving around. We have real-time processing. We're going to enable artificial intelligence. We're going to enable big data learning, right? All of these things that are turbocharging our environment right now. But as we move to the fourth platform, it's going to change a bit, right? Today, the focus is on the cloud. Everybody's talking about, Google and Amazon and Facebook and these guys. But when we get to the edge, it's going to change. It's going to be a different world. The cloud will still be really important, but obviously the cloud has a limitation, right? I'll use my favorite example is the autonomous car. So if you're a guy stepping off of a sidewalk into a crosswalk, and you've got an autonomous car headed your way, do you really want that car to phone home to the cloud? Or do you want it to make a decision to stop right there and then, right? I'm voting for there in the car. That drives performance, that drives inferring and acting and really assessing the situation real time. And that drives a different performance requirement. So we've got massive amounts of data being generated. The challenge for us as a storage industry is we're not storing enough of it. So the percentage of data being stored is declining as we look forward. It's been declining over time. That's a problem, right? And I would argue that one of the biggest limitations and the reason why that percent of data being stored is declining is because we don't have enough money to pay for it all, right? There is a finite amount of resource. So our purpose, right, Seagate's purpose is to enable people to store more. And there's a lot of ways we do that. There's a lot of products that we bring to market that enable that activity. Now, if you don't believe me, I wanted to bring some real hard data to kind of show you how markets react to price increase, for instance. So this is just the enterprise market. We took the chart on the left basically is a stack up of the component spend or the component revenues for hard disk drives, for DRAM, for SSD, and for Intel processors, okay? It's a subset. It's not 100%, but it's a good proxy. And you can see we've had nice growth rate there, right? As the enterprises get larger, they have more dollars to spend, they invest, and we have a pretty good growth rate. The chart on the right actually shows you how that spend gets split. And we all know that the DRAM guys have jacked the price up in the last 9 months, 12 months. And you can see the market didn't react by all of a sudden taking the dollars up. They reallocated, right? So this is a finite market. There is a finite set of dollars. And so our job is to ensure that we can make all of these markets efficient, whether we're helping customers use less DRAM so they don't have to spend more, right? Whether we're enabling customers to buy cheaper storage, whether we're enabling disk and SSD to play better together, right? That's our opportunity. And we think that that's not just about Seagate, that's not just about our customers. We think that there's a bigger purpose for that, right? Because at the end of the day, we want to store as much as possible. We want to enable humankind to store. Now, you say, Matt, so what? You're one guy, right? Why do we listen to you? And there's a lot of noise. If you take the financial analysts that are out in the market, they're looking at these economic situations, and there's a lot of noise in the market. There's a lot of, well, is the market gonna bounce back, right? Are the prices gonna stay high forever, right? What's gonna happen with CapEx? There's a lot of noise in this market. I'm a business guy, I love this stuff. So just like many of you are technical and you love to get that challenge, that technical challenge, this is a business challenge, right? This is an economic challenge, and I love that. So our job is to figure out, let's go find the signal in that noise, right? And let's get to a point of view so that we can make the right decisions for our customers, make the right decisions for our company, make the right decisions, like I said, for the greater good. So this chart is a very simple chart. I just pulled market data on NAND pricing, right? And this is a shocking chart. And the reason why I say that is I talk to a lot of CPOs, okay? We have some very big companies that spend a lot of dollars with Seagate. Every CPO I talk to, right? You all are saying, why is a hard drive-based company here at Flash Memory Summit? My CPOs talk to me about Flash. One, because we do sell stuff to them, and two, because the interplay between Flash and hard drive is really important in the markets from an economic perspective. So they're shocked, though, right? They're definitely shocked at the price increases, not only from an SSD perspective, but from a DRAM perspective. It's on everybody's mind. So we thought we should go through this. We thought we should bring this to you guys and give you a point of view and a perspective. So if we take some history, right, let's look back. Let's look at the rate of decline. Now we've converted to SSD. Again, I'm picking pieces of the market to make it simple so you guys can see and understand what our point of view is. But if you take a look at that curve, it's awesome, right? The industry has driven down cost per gig at a dramatic rate. That enables penetration, that's bringing performance, that's bringing better experience, right? But look at that last data point, 2017. We've come off the curve. Now we knew that those declines weren't sustainable, but last year or this year has been kind of a shock, right? And you say, well, Matt, you're a marketing guy, so you're just trying to trick us, right? I know, sorry, it's okay. I can take that. I can take the insult. But let's look at it a different way. Let's put it on a log scale, okay? Let's try to take a little bit of noise out of it. Let's elongate the cycle. Let's look at a longer time period. Even still, you can see it's a dramatic divergence from our curve. So the biggest question is, what the heck's going on, right? Is this something that we need to get used to? Or is this something that's a blip? It's interesting. In preparing for this presentation, I've had a number of conversations with a number of different people, and this is a hot topic. And it's funny, this next slide, we put this slide together, and once it's built, you'll see it. It's like the most controversial slide one of the most controversial slides I've ever put together, and I don't know why. I think it's actually pretty basic. So we have this historical price decline. We have this speed bump. Let's talk about what everybody tells me is going to happen, or at least that's their perception until we start to talk through the data and the metrics. They say, you know what, this is a blip. Those big NAND guys, they're just going to keep plowing money in. They're going to oversupply. It'll all come back. We'll be back to, price declines like crazy, right? That's certainly one case, catch up. Second case is, okay, we took a speed bump. We plowed some money into the market, but we get right back on the same slope. We get right back to our same declines we've always experienced, right? We'll call that the shift right. The third case is maybe something's changed, right? Maybe there's a new slope. The speed bump has told us something has changed, right? And I'm not sure that the speed bump is a shortage, okay? Everybody wants to say the speed bump is a shortage. Actually, I'm going to agree with you. The speed bump is a shortage, but it may not be a supply shortage. It might be a price shortage, okay? And you say, well, what does that mean? And to me, I don't really care which curve is right, because the market's going to be the market. We have a very efficient process, right? What I do care about is being flexible so that we know when it's coming, we know what to do about it, and we enable our customers to deal with it. And we enable you to deal with it, right? And I think that's all of our jobs. So I want to drill down even further. Sorry, guys. This is what I do. So let's go take a look at petabytes shipped, right? Again, the way we've been generating those massive price declines, massive cost declines, however you want to look at it, is we're growing bits like crazy. Again, we need to grow bits like crazy. Whether you're a SSD guy or a hard drive guy or tape or whatever storage medium, we all lust to store bits, okay? So you can see we've been growing like crazy, but it's slowing down. That's natural. As your base gets larger, that growth rate gets more and more difficult. So I think this makes sense to everybody, right? This curve's nice and smooth. Now, again, I want to talk to you guys about the dollars, because the dollars are very impactful. So let's put the dollar curve on here. And this dollar curve, this is revenue. It's a little rocky. There's some bumps, there's some ups and some downs. There's always things that go on in markets, whether you have a little recession or maybe a flood or some other things that cause some bumpiness. But it's kind of tracking to the line, right? Kind of makes sense. Or does it? So let's drill into something that's a little more near term. Now look at that blue line on this sort. For 4 straight years, we had flat revenue. Now, how do you think our suppliers can get away with generating 40% more bits, investing a whole pile of capital, and not getting paid anymore? I don't know about you guys, but I got a boss. And if I took this business case to my boss, he'd throw me out, right? So even these big companies have bosses. It's natural, right? Someone's saying, hey, there's a do not compute here, guys. So again, I would argue that some of our suppliers are taking the advantage of a market. They're raising the price, right? There's a price shortage. But they're paying for their investment. You say, well, Matt, how do you know that? Or why would you say that? Because I'm looking at what they're spending. So the chart on the left is the capital expenditure for all the big suppliers. This is our estimate, okay? What you can see, pay attention to the black line. The black line is the most important piece of the slide. In 2013, 27% of their revenue was spent on capital. Today, after the price increases, it'll be over 40%. After the price increases. So you tell me, is this a fundamental shift? Right? Or is it all going back to where it was? and the CapEx per revenue is going to go up over 50%. I don't know. I got a point of view. Chart on the right can show you 3D ain't free. It generates a lot of bits, right? Everybody's talking about 3D transition, 32 layers, 64, 96, all that great stuff. It's expensive, right? It costs money. And I think we're going to have to pay for it. I think our customers are going to have to pay for it. So I talked to you about those CPOs, right? Now those CPOs are going through the 5 stages of grief. You all know this? I am a marketing guy. I got to use a pretty slide, right? Denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance. We all go through this. You can apply it to almost any challenge you encounter. We're kind of here. All last year, I run another business that's kind of gets impacted by NAND pricing, and all of my customers were in denial for quite a while. They're beyond that. Some of them are still mad. Some of them are still trying to negotiate. Some of them are just, in the doldrums. But we've got to get them to acceptance, and we've got to move them over, and we've got to help them. So acceptance is all about being flexible, right? It's all about delivering value for your customer. It's all about being nimble and taking advantage of the opportunities. So what the heck does that mean? Why the heck are you up here telling me this? Well, for me, as a hard drive and SSD guy, we've got to put all those assets together, right? Our mission is to help our customers deal with it and be as flexible as possible. And we have a ton of technology. We have a ton of capability. We have hard drive capability. We have flash capability. LSI, SandForce, some of these great companies that provided teams and resources into Seagate. And we're unleashing those resources as we speak. The second thing is, and this is the one that's really underestimated by so many folks, anybody can create a product. Anybody can stand up here, and I got one of these to show a little bit later, but anybody can stand up here and show the world's biggest, fastest, firstest thing. But can they get a customer to integrate it? Can they get a customer to buy it? That's hard, right? There's a lot of guys out there that can't. That's something that Seagate does really, really well, right? The other piece, and it's a little bit different to think about, but we have suppliers that can't touch those customers, right? And so at Seagate, I look at us as a bridge. We're a bridging opportunity for those folks. So if you really think about what Seagate can do, we can unlock bits for our customers, and we can unlock customers for our suppliers. And we take that as our opportunity, right, and deliver value. So what does that mean? We're going to deliver products. We're going to work on standards. We're going to bring new technology to the market. We're not going to talk to you about NAND fabs. We're not going to talk to you about how we go through the 3D transitions. Our suppliers are going to talk to us about that, and we're going to help bring that to market. That's our role. That's our mission. So how are we doing that? Again, we got to show you biggest, fastest, firstest, biggest SSD, fastest SSD. This it's not a press release. If we had a show floor, you could go see it run, right? But we don't, I'm sorry. But we do have working samples. From a technology perspective, we're launching QBoost here at Flash Memory Summit this year. We're integrating industry standards. We're bringing new technology to bear, and we're not just talking about it. We're not just writing white papers. We're actually implementing it into the products and implementing it with customers. And that's really what it takes at the end of the day. From a product perspective, 3rd generation SAS drive. There's not many guys in the world that can produce SAS, and we're one of them. So if you need help with that, please come see us. We've got NVMe, 5th generation. I want to talk about our RealStore AFA. I think we have a very different approach from some of our competition here. We have what we call the RealStore ASIC. And we've developed a proprietary ASIC that really makes this box fast. The other thing that it does, and remember I showed you that DRAM chart? DRAM prices are up, I don't know, 200%, 300%. This box uses significantly less DRAM to drive performance because it uses a different architecture to remove latency. So I think this is a really interesting product. It's definitely changing the way we think. And then last but not least, we are a pretty big consumer company. We've got a bunch of consumer devices. And some of those are drive-based, some of those are SSD-based, some of those are combos. But Seagate is #1 in the consumer storage space. So we bring those products to bear for our customers as well. So hopefully you enjoyed what I had to bring. I know I was warned. There's a lot of technical folks in the room. I do know that when I speak to my own company, the technical guys really love to hear about the market and understand what's going on in the market. So hopefully I was able to educate you and bring you a different perspective and give you some ideas. And there's, some of this stuff is controversial, and it's stuff we can argue about. And I'm not saying I'm right, but I am saying we're going to watch it, and we're going to develop products to help our customers deal with it, right? And that's our mission. So that's what I've got. If we had a booth next door, we'd say come to our booth and talk to us. But we can't do that. So find us out in the hall. Come see us. We're here to talk about SSDs and all the cool stuff we're bringing to the market. All right. Thank you.